Day and capacity restrictions lifted, New York is on the fast track to reopening following more than a year of COVID lockdown.
Yeah, however, getting back to normal proving to be anything but normal. Not only is there a lot of COVID confusion with all of the recent changes, including the mask, but there's just overall anxiety over adapting to this new normal. So psychiatrist Dr. Sue Varma joining us this morning to help us cope with these feelings. Good morning, Dr. Varma. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. So great to see you both. Thank you.
Dr. Varma, I've been seeing it every single day where people just kind of are a little confused over even how to just go about saying hello to someone, right? It's triggering a whole lot of anxiety, including the other day, somebody came up to me and they tried to shake my hand and I was like, I don't know what to do here. So how do we address that?
Yes. So having a sense of humor is so important. And I was in the exact same situation yesterday where I ran into two friends, a new one and an old one, and there's a hand being put out and there's a hug in motion. And I say sometimes, look, if you feel okay with it, go with it. If you don't, do the fist pump, do the elbow and laugh, have a sense of humor. Look, we have been through so much this last year, right? Death, anxiety, grief, losses, unemployment, and to pretend as if we're just going to go back to normal, I think is insane. That's where the insanity is to pretend as if everything has resumed when it's not. And being able to be very open about it and to say, listen, I'm a little bit hesitant. I'm really looking forward to seeing you. Let's say you're getting together with people outdoors. And the beauty of the upside of all of this is that it's happening when the weather is getting better in most parts of the country. So we can do a lot of this safely outdoors, but I would also say just being very open with the communication and expectations.
Absolutely. But I think some folks are thinking, all right, they've lifted the mask. It's like you said, it's nice outside. Let's get back to reality. Let's get back to normalcy. But how do we go about doing that? You said, it depends on how we each feel and have some laughter to it. But can we truly get back to life as we knew it used to be pre-COVID?
I want to say one thing, and I'm not trying to be a downer here, but I was the former medical director of the 9/11 mental health program. Yeah. And when I would work with patients, they would always ask me, Dr. Varma, am I ever going to be the same?
Right.
And that's a very tough question to ask because the reality is we're never the same day to day, right? Like regardless of what we're going through. And here, when you throw in a global mass disaster of epic proportions, it would be completely, clueless of a person to say, so to think that they could get back to normal or to what normal used to be. Yeah. So I don't think we're ever going to get back to that normal, but there will be an ability to experience joy and connection and togetherness and positivity and productivity, but giving ourselves time and recognizing that depending on the losses that you've experienced. So if you've had a prior history of anxiety or depression, if you have a family history, if you've had a prior history of trauma, if you got COVID yourself, all of this is going to elevate the risk of having things like post-traumatic stress disorder. Yeah. In fact, people who had, a study came out in February of this year that people who had acute COVID, maybe about 1/3 of them developed post-traumatic stress disorder. Yeah. And look, while it's rare and most people will recover, we do need to be mindful that it's not going to be business as usual for most people.
And every single person's going to be different, right? Because there's this whole mental gymnastics that we've played because you've gone through your whole life thinking one thing, you've retrained your brain over the past year and a half to do things that we were doing for so long, and now we're retraining them to kind of go back to that. But there's also, there's so many different factors besides the social anxiety, right? There are parents and their children and navigating that, and kids who have never been to school because they missed out on that year. How do you start getting mentally prepared for simple things like getting back into a classroom?
Yes. And this is so difficult because we have been sort of in you have fight, flight, and freeze mode. And a lot of people have been somewhere between the freezing and the fright mode. And now we're expected within a day to return back to things as usual. Right. So I would say if you're talking about kids in the classroom, having a lot of conversations with the children, age appropriate, depending on where their developmental stage and level is and how much information they can handle and how much they know already. So asking your kids open-ended questions like, tell me a little bit about what you're afraid about. And you're hearing the individual child's anxiety. Are they saying, I'm afraid that I'm going to get myself sick, I'm going to get my parents sick, I'm going to get my teacher sick, oh my God, there's germs everywhere. Is your kid looking out for key symptoms? Are they having regressive behaviors? Are they more clingy? Are they refusing to go to school? school? Are they refusing to have play dates? I know children, some of my mom friends were telling me that their kids will refuse to take the mask off, even if they're outdoors and even if they're in a group of friends that, that they felt safe with, or a pod that they had been with. So really looking at your child's mental health. Are they bedwetting? What kind of behaviors are they experiencing? And not being afraid to get help and just saying, listen, we're going to do this very slowly, just the way a parent would take a kid to a classroom on the first day, and maybe the separation, you wouldn't exactly do that. Here, this is different. A parent can't exactly come into the classroom, but whatever you can do, maybe even just doing an hour and letting the teacher know, hey, do different things. Distraction, by the way, for children, I'm a mom, works very well. What's your favorite book? What's your favorite toy? So keep them happy, keep them entertained, but knock on wood, we have gotten through some of the worst of this already. But giving yourself grace and compassion, that everybody has a different timeline.
I think that's so important, because while some of us are ready just to be gung-ho on getting back to this sense of normalcy, others have been through hell, right? They've lost family members. They've seen this pandemic really hit home and very, very hard. And maybe mentally they're not ready to be back to normal. They need this space to slowly get there. So how do we help them?
Yes, excellent question. The first thing that you can do is normalize what they have gone through, and to say, I am so sorry. There is no way in the world I could possibly understand what you went through, but please tell me, let me understand. And don't offer advice, don't offer unsolicited advice. A lot of times when people are grieving, they really just need a safe space to be able to vent and to share how they're feeling, and give them that by drawing them out with these open-ended, empathic, understanding, validating questions. And then say, how can I be of help? And every person's help is going to be different. And sometimes your emotional responsiveness, being emotionally attuned to a person, is the greatest support that you can offer, in addition to your time. And then just hang out with them, because we have been dealing with lack of social support and uncertainty. These are the two biggest things that made this trauma so difficult. And if you can give them some reassurance and some support to say, listen, I totally get it. I'm here for you. Would you want me to find a therapist for you? Would you want me to come to you for? So let's not forget that therapy, specifically cognitive behavioral therapy, can be very effective for dealing with loss and for trauma.
We're out of time, Dr. Varma, but I think that there is so much to talk about, so we'd like to have you back, because I even want to get into the next time we have you on, just not to bully people. If someone says, you know what, I'm not ready to eat inside yet, I've seen it and heard it where people are already being made fun of for that. They're like, well, you're vaccinated, so why not? But it's all a matter of time and perspective, and there are people who just realized that they developed new anxieties during the pandemic. So much to talk to you about, so come on back, okay?
So much. My pleasure, anytime.
Thank you, Dr. Varma. Appreciate it.